Now, there are a number of threads currently running on the Kermode Uncut blog which absolutely demand responses to your replies, not least of which is the Hitchcock in the Attic thread, in which I asked you to name 3 movies that should be consigned to the attic of history. And at last looking, there's over 200 responses. I'm going to let this run for a couple of weeks before responding in full to your suggestions. But I'd like to draw your attention to one particular response to a blog I did a few weeks ago. I did a blog saying that I'd seen Toy Story 3 in 3D, and it was the first 3D movie that I'd seen in which I actually forgot I was watching a 3D movie. If you're a regular viewer here, you'll know that I have big problems with 3D, and I meant it as a compliment to say that I was watching the film and I forgot that I was watching it through those glasses. I forgot it was a 3D film, but I then wondered, if I forgot it was 3D, what's the point of it being in 3D? Well, I'm very proud to say that we've had a response to this from none other than Bob Whitehill, who is the stereoscopic supervisor at Pixar, the guy who I referred to in my blog as the 3D guy. It's a very thorough response, very polite, very informed, and in order to have an ongoing debate, because he answers many of the points I raised, I thought I'd read you the response pretty much in full. He starts off by thanking me for a thoughtful video blog and saying my comments were very insightful, and believe me, flattery will get you everywhere. But he goes on to say this: at the studio we work very hard to find the sweet spot between comfortable 3D and one that is rewarding and different for the audience. The way we approach it is this: when you watch one of our movies, you are rarely consciously seeing the lighting or thinking about the costume design or the camera's focal length. These are all things that combine to make the film a richer, more impactful experience, but are not at the foremost of your thoughts at the time. This, of course, echoes what I was saying before about them saying they don't want you to watch the 3D and go, oh, look at that 3D, and maybe you'll think about that later on. He goes on. For instance, the thrill of John Williams' score at the opening of Star Wars is a masterpiece and pulls you into the movie, but rarely during the film are you actively listening to the score. It's working on your subconscious to make you more scared, sad, excited, or whatever may be the story point of the scene. Not that our 3D is in the same league as Williams' genius, but that's what we hope the 3D is doing for our audience. An occasional moment of wow, but an entire film of enhancement. Now, whether or not you feel the 3D adds to the overall experience is certainly something we can debate, but the fact that you forgot you were watching 3D for much of the film is, in some regard, our goal of maintaining the focus on the story. Well, Bob, thank you very much for your letter. Did I forget I was watching a film in 3D because the story was so great, the characters are so rounded, the jokes are so brilliant, the tear-jerking moments work so well? Or did I forget I was watching it in 3D because the 3D was doing exactly what it's meant to do and enhancing the experience of the movie? You know, there's only one litmus test for this. I'm going to have to go back and see Toy Story 3 for a third time, but this time in 2D. Watch this space.